Hello.
Hey,
Hey, hello, love. How are you?
hello, love. How are you?
Pretty fabulous. Great to see you.
You too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, you fell in love with writing very early on, didn't you? I remember you always
Oh,
writing
yes.
something.
Yes. I remember it was something that I got praise on at school very early. Memories of like, oh, you're a good writer. Like, you should write. Like, and I loved reading as a kid. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
cool.
I would think it came from listening to a lot of really good books.
Yes. When I was very little, getting them read to me.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
I think I always gravitated towards lyrics in music even before I started writing them as just an audience member. I was always like interested in like looking up what are the actual lyrics? Like what did he actually say there?
Really?
Yeah.
So, do you really tune into them like as you're listening to a song for the first time, like you're checking out lyrics?
I am definitely clocking it. I mean, now there's so many things like music and movies like I love re-listening and re-watching because there's so many details and you're just trying to clock all of them.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I definitely listen for lyrics. And try to look them up, and I love having the records and looking and reading them along. Uh,
mm. Yeah, it's funny because for me, it's like the overall sound of the record either attracts me or doesn't. Then it's the lead person's voice. And if it's going to take a while to get used to it and take a couple of listens, it's like lyrics are almost the last thing that I understand. I have songs I've been listening to my whole life, and I couldn't tell you what they're about. And I sing along.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's the first thing that I hear, but I am thinking, I'm like, "Well, what is it that they're saying? What is it?" Not that the lyrics are always
Yeah,
synonymous with what the song is, like, about or saying,
right.
and I think in a lot of cases, like, like, who said like, Kurt Cobain was like, like, "The lyrics, it doesn't matter, it's just the sound," or something, it's like
You got
for
that
some
from Tom.
artists, even, they're not really worried about the lyrics.
Yeah.
Mm.
You got that from the Beatles. A lot of times they would just say, you can say any old rubbish thing.
Yeah, it just has to rhyme and it just has to sound good, really. I think it has to sound good first.
Yeah.
Sure.
Definitely something about those syllables that, help me shape melodies, though. So,
Yeah.
with your own songs, then, what would you say the percentages of lyrics to instrumentals?
I definitely really think and worry about like, I think I want it to be read as poetry, just without music. Like, I want it to work in that way, and I, like, interested in wordplay.
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm writing a song, it's usually, like, I'm kinda just mumbling or saying something that's like, homonym or whatever of the what I end up with it.
Yeah,
Um, so it's best to sort of just mumble and then you figure out the word last.
yeah. That's the Paul Simon way.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. No, that works really well for me.
Yeah, 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 it works, but, like, it also can come in, like, oh, I'll have a line, like a lyric, like a word or a phrase first, and it doesn't have music to it, and then you
Yes.
sit down and you're like, "Okay, how can this sound how am I singing that?" And then you build it around there.
Yeah. Like today, I was writing a song to one of Kate's poems, and the lyrics are brilliant because it's a poem.
Yeah.
It reads well, stands on its own feet, and now it's gonna be a lyric as well, and it's so interesting to me to do it that way. It's a gift because a third of the song is done. Here are the words. You just come up with the melody and the chords.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
That's cool, and it works the opposite in some cases where there's just a song melody and the lyrics need to be kind of filled in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like all kinds of songs, right? I like ones that are really specific and poignant, like Cole Porter, and I like Stevie Nicks, which can be very ethereal and almost everywhere at the same time.
Mhm.
And I think everything in between, like it's a gigantic playing field as far as what makes sense and what works. And I mean, how about that one that they play at all the ball games, right? Dun, 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 hey, dun, 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 dun. It's just sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jock,
Yeah,
jock.
you wouldn't ask, "What is that song about?"
I
It's not
know.
yeah.
It's about feeling amazing
but
and
you feel
winning.
it. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's where it becomes sort of twofold, like, because I also listen to a lot of non-English music. Like lately, I've been listening to a lot of like there's all this cool Japanese like funk and soul from like the 70s, 80s, and
Oh, sure,
just south like Italian classic music and folk music and stuff like that, where I don't know the lyrics at all, and I
sure,
love that music. Sometimes I prefer that because as someone who can be hyper attuned to words,
right?
it's a weight off my shoulders to and now I'm just oh, I can only just focus on the musical parts. Uh,
Yeah,
so that's another,
a relief not to
try to
have to.
make lyrics out to be the most important part.
That's very cool. So what would you say is the amount of songwriting you do versus maybe poem writing you do versus screenwriting that you do?
It depends on the season, really. It's all just seasons sort of tumbling like periods where
Yeah.
you know,
What do you have the most of?
I have in a bank the most like poem song lyrics for sure.
Okay.
Those just kind of coming out all the time, little bits unfinished. And then if I had to like, measure it, that would be longer, but I'm
Yeah.
much more thoughtful and like I spend more time thinking about screenwriting movie story ideas because they take, I think, more pre-thinking before I actually put the pen to paper.
Hmm.
Whereas with songs, it's sort of just it comes out quick, whatever, and then like I'm like, oh, that word, what rhymes with that? And it becomes this little sculpting game of
Hmm.
mostly editing. Uh,
Right.
and I'm not precious as much.
Yeah. I love the editing part. That's almost my favorite part. Chop that away, chop that away. Even editing photographs or uh, editing different videos I try to put together. It's like really a fun part of it.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite part. I think editing for film is like the most important part, and it's
Yeah.
kind of my favorite part of the whole process. I'm editing right now, and it's so much fun.
Is it all digital now or what
All digital. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Did
But
you
there's oh sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say there is an element of like musicality and rhythm to film editing that
Yes.
I haven't been as in a musical mode lately, but when I'm editing, I'm editing to music, you're editing with like a pace, so it kind of scratches that itch of
Hmm.
creating, I think.
That was a really cool moment in that Hitchcock film that they, made a bunch of years ago that I've just recently saw, where it turned out him and his wife were working on the editing of Psycho, and he actually said, "She's a better editor than I am."
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. There
Yeah,
are a lot of prominent editors are women in like most a lot of the most famous editors and directors work with female editors like Scorsese, Tarantino.
oh, well,
Um, it's a very like yeah. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. It's your field. What's your
Sense
theory?
of timing, natural timing. Women have maybe I don't know.
Or some kind of patience or something.
Yeah, or they're good better at killing the darlings.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what editing is, like, taking away. What are you drinking there? Tea?
Water. Yeah, water. I just like mugs.
Water mug. Yeah. Oh, yeah, cool mug. Beatles?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun to hold a handle.
Nice.
Yeah. So you have a really good last name.
The best.
The best.
Best. I was gonna say, though, I was actually in a really big I've been in an interesting part of my Beatles fandom where the ever question, "Who's your favorite Beatle?" It is never a right answer, but I've been, well, I know what your answer maybe mostly has been, but well, George, no?
It almost changes depending
It's
upon the year, you know?
season, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I feel like I'm in the season of John because I've been really just appreciating
Mhm.
the directness of his songs. Like, I'm So Tired and,
Mhm.
some other stuff from the White Album is just so yeah, just so like economical in terms of what the song
Mm.
is packing in uh
And Julia's heartbreaking.
and then Julia and then the emotion too in his songs are so personal.
Yeah. And I only found out about 10 years ago that he's singing with himself on Come Together. I always thought that was Paul doing the background harmony, but he didn't let Paul sing with him. Yeah, no, I got it. I got it. And Paul was disappointed.
Yeah, that's actually interesting coming together. Um, because another thing I was thinking about with John was uh how his songs are a lot about him and they're about John Lennon stuff. And a lot of Paul songs have these sort of made up characters and like, you know,
Hmm.
a lot of stuff. But there are some John songs that have characters, and I guess Come Together is one of those.
Hmm.
But for the most part, yeah, it felt like I was just reflecting, like, there's a lot of Paul songs about these experiences of other people, and a lot
Yeah.
of John songs are about very much personal him stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it's an
George
interesting
used to say to Paul, like, "Who are these people? What are you talking about? Why are you writing about these people?" But Paul was more literary in a sense, because he could make up characters and scenarios and stories, and that's
Yes,
brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
totally. Yeah, storytelling.
Yes.
John is not a storyteller, really.
Yeah. He's like, "I only know about me."
Yeah, I only know about me, yes.
Have you seen or, I mean, listened to any of, John's solo stuff?
Yeah, yeah, some Plastic Ono Band, that's what I have been doing is I'm not as versed in his solo stuff as in Paul's, so
Mm,
I'm starting to listen to, um yeah, I have some of the records like Plastic Ono and the album with, Beautiful Boy and, some
fantasy, yeah.
great songs in there. There's some Elton John
Yeah.
collaborations. Yeah, it's interesting. There's such an interesting, 2 sides
Yeah.
of a similar coin.
I can't even imagine what it sounds like to you to be almost hear it all at once. Like a lot of my students have always said, "Where do we even begin?" Should we do it chronologically? Should we do it any way we want? It's like, do it any way you
Yeah,
want.
any way you want.
Everywhere, it's pretty fascinating. So tell me the trajectory. How did it, you love writing, you get some writing assignments in school, they seem exciting. Somebody tells you you're a good writer. How do you get from hometown to college? What made you pick that college? And then how did you get from college to California? Was it like, I'm a filmmaker, I should be in LA?
Yeah, it was like I always did well in English and enjoyed writing, and then, as a kid they make you have a journal, and then I
They
stopped having a journal. Like in school, it's like you have to have your journal, you journal, it's like at school they're sort of.
I never had to be
Oh,
told.
really?
Yeah, no, I just started doing a journal when I was given my first book at 14 years old, and I haven't stopped since. I have like
Wow.
57, 58 volumes.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm catching up, not as many, but that's kind of what has sustained, I think, the writing is journaling because it's so many things. It's like a therapy, it's a
Mm,
document, it's kind of free play, poetic, make yourself laugh time. It's all those. It's a good nighttime routine if you're uh
mhm.
and agitated and can't fall asleep. So yeah, in like high school I kind of picked back up journaling for a bit, and then I stopped, and then I didn't really pick it back up again until right after COVID, which I'm bummed that I didn't do it during COVID because I now
Wow.
keep pretty detailed, vivid journals, but
Mhm.
I don't have any really from COVID, which would have been an interesting time. I have a lot of music that I recorded or some music, but um sorry to answer your question. Yeah, so I went to I decided to go to. My mom was kinda like, "Oh, you should major in film." Like, I think I wanted to major in, like, marketing or something, and I was like, well, because in high school, I made all these movies. Again, I have to credit Premise High School for assigning me all these movie projects that kind of gave me an excuse to, do this thing that I enjoyed and it was fun with my friends and had a knack for, and it
Wow.
how to practice editing and all that.
Yeah.
I was doing it for fun, but then, like, in high school, you start to go like, "Oh, well, that's not, like, cool to do," you know?
But
But
th
I had to, so it was kind of the excuse I needed to, and it gave me some structure, I think. Having
yeah,
it, like, assigned to you, I definitely benefit from that.
I know,
So
I remember being very excited when college was over and everybody would be off my back telling me what to do, and then I just remember sitting in my apartment going, "Now what?" It's like you
yeah,
have to give yourself assignments, otherwise you don't do anything.
exactly. Giving yourself assignments is one of the hardest things to learn that I've definitely I could I can say that I've improved at that skill over the last 5 or so 10 years. S
Mhm.
My job sort of is that way. It's sort of there's a lot of self-directed time and I work from home. So,
Mm,
by necessity, I've had to get better at that, and I think it's luckily spilled over to where I have that instinct and appetite in my free time to make stuff, and now I'm kind of self-aware of it, so I'm like, yeah, like, make stuff, like, you have the time, like, instead of watching TV, what's the most fun thing that you can uh spend your time coming up with, creating, making?
absolutely great question, yeah.
Mhm. It should be fun, it shouldn't be work, it should be.
No, I don't even use the word assignment for myself, it's just like, what do I feel like doing today? And there's
Yeah.
so much that we enjoy. So, um, did you ever see that film 52577?
No, wait, where is the stream what streaming service is it on? Because I don't have every one, but I know you've brought this up, and I
Yeah,
feel bad that I haven't watched it.
gotta look for it, but I think I have a copy of it I can send you.
Is it about oh, that would be perfect. I just got a Blu-ray DVD player, so getting
Ah,
back into physical media because you can't
oh,
trust these streamers anymore.
no,
There's
no.
no I don't like the whole model where they own every movie and I just have to pay to have a little view of it. Like, I like to have my own copy of things.
I know, I always did too, so that's why I never got rid of anything, but now I'm finding that a lot of my different systems, whether it's a DVD player or a VHS, they're sitting around for decades not being used, and then they just stop working. It's like I gotta
Yeah,
get them again.
yeah. Yeah, I just got a used Blu-ray player and I'm loving it. I love having the movies myself, get to watch the special features.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
Um,
that film is about a filmmaker who starts off as a young person like yourself,
yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah,
as a little kid is just making tons of movies and always getting in trouble for it, and it's just hilarious and wonderful and fantastic, and I
yeah.
just love it. I love so many films about creative people who do whatever they can to make stuff happen. I
Oh yeah.
just admire that so much.
What are other films about creative people that you like?
Good question. Well, there's a lot about music, right? So if it's about even songwriting, that one Music and Lyrics was pretty good. Um,
Mhm.
I have a whole list of them someplace.
Yeah. Almost Famous
Oh
comes
yeah,
to
love that
mind.
one. Love that one.
Uh,
Definitely one of my favorites. I just love clever movies even. I mean, I always loved Back to the Future because it was just so different, you know.
what? One
To
of my all-time favorites. Have
yeah.
you seen the movie Rushmore?
No.
That's an incredible film. It's a very funny look at a sort
Uh,
of compulsively creative, ambitious person, a young kid at like a boarding school. It's Wes Anderson, so it's one of his earlier movies. And
okay.
it's one of my all-time favorites, and it's about a creative person and
Nice.
very heightened, sort of surreal at times. But
I was so glad when you quite quickly said, "Yeah, yeah, I'll jump on your podcast." What was interesting to you about wanting to do this?
I mean, who doesn't want to do this and just love to chat to catch up with you? Yeah, I don't know. I just it's a fun topic. I think
Yeah,
people that like to make things love to talk about their process
not
more than
everybody, unfortunately.
more than the outcome. Like, I'd rather talk about the process than like the finished product.
Well, yeah, because I think that's where the magic actually happens in all those choices that we get to make. It's that moment of selection that is totally exciting because you're creating something out of nothing, and you're almost communing with the all, you know? It's
Yeah,
like this
it's
very
coming through you.
yes, yes, and it just feels so energizing and so fantastic that who wouldn't wanna do that again, you know?
Totally.
It
It's yeah,
happens
total rush.
yeah. It's like the best high you can ever have.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Totally great. That's why creating is so cool to me, you know? Uh
Yeah.
And there's so many aspects of it, right? Because if there's a little guitar idea or like you say, a title or just a piece of a lyric, so what can
Yeah.
I finish this? How can I turn what does it need? What do I want it to make it be about? And you feel like you're literally shaping the clay as you're making all these choices. And then there's all the recording decisions I can make and the instrumentation and the production and the sound and will it have harmony vocals? It just goes on and on. And will I play all the instruments or will I get some of my friends to come in and play and join me, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's enjoyably dizzying to think
yeah.
about.
But when you think sometimes for a finished film or a finished album, how many hundreds and hundreds, or maybe even thousands of hours go into it, you go, "I don't even believe I do this. Am I gonna start that all over again?" People go, "Really? You're gonna just jump right back in?" It's like, "Oh, yeah."
Oh, yeah. That was what was so has been cool for me, in recent years, there's all these releases of Beatles albums and whatever albums with all the outtakes and all, and like, to see
Mm,
Get Back and all that. It's so inspiring because it pops the myth that all those songs just came out perfect from those guys and that it's
right.
just like, "Oh, they're just at a level that no one could ever be." Like, no, like, they had a lot of, like, missteps and it wasn't working and the other take of a song, you're like, "This isn't a hit song, this isn't good." And then they suddenly get it, and
Yeah,
there's all those reps that you don't see.
and it clicks into place, absolutely. One of the first ones I had heard was, outtakes of George Harrison's Living in the Material World album. I didn't even realize that some of those songs actually had 2 drummers on them. So now you're hearing 2 drum sets, and the drums actually don't even sound that well recorded. And I go, "Wow, that's the actual take. I recognize the part. I recognize the take. If those drums sound so bad and they made it sound like a great record, there's hope for the recordings I'm making of my drums."
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I loved all those decision makings. There's, hundreds of hours I have of John even just writing songs and saying, "Oh, I have this chord or I have the choice of that chord." It's just fabulous. And it was them that I heard say, "Well, we don't know what we're doing. You know, if we can do it, anybody can do it." So I thought, "Oh, when I was a kid, I'll do it too." You know, I wasn't like, "Oh, they're Beatles and we're all mere mortals and we'll never be able to get anywhere near that." Some people make that mistake. It's like, no, we're all human. We're all incredibly magical. You just have to remember to use your magic, you know?
Yeah.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
what do you do when you feel less inspired or a little stuck? What helps you massage
Uh
get it back into place again?
I've recently found that movement is very helpful for me, like physically moving my body.
Yep.
And so many ideas come on a walk or a run and even like better yet, a very intentional one. Like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk and think about this thing, and it's the gears start turning in a different way, and suddenly I'm like running home, like I gotta write this down, or you take a
Yes.
voice note.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Awesome.
that's been super helpful.
But that wasn't something taught to you either, probably. That was just something you discovered as you were working, right?
Yeah, and that's like the other thing is that you can read up about everybody else's process, and that's inspiring and to a degree, but ultimately what works for you is not what works for someone else, and
Mhm.
I've learned to be less critical of my process
Good.
because, if you hear someone you admire say, "Oh, well, I just wake up every day at 9 a.m. and I sit down and I write and that's how I do it."
Mm.
Schedule doesn't allow for that, or if you're just like, "It's not my way," be a little more flexible with yourself on the what
Yeah.
your process is, even if it's messy, because you find the method to your own madness, and then
Yeah.
that's kind of what's part of the fun too, is like,
You're getting it done.
yeah, doing it your way is kind of the win. It's not
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I just did what someone else did and it worked," but it's like, "I have this really weird way, and, like, I have to have some Oreos and then go on a night walk and then, like, do 10 push-ups, and then I can write," like,
Well, that's actually a good point you're making there. Some people do credit the wrong thing as to why it worked. You know, it's like any kind of cause and effect that somebody gives credit to something and think that must be mean I have this or that is broken like that. And, they're wrong. They're
yeah.
crediting the wrong thing. But you do have to come up with your own process for sure. And I know exactly what you mean by that because I've gone all over the place looking for the most amazing books on creativity, and almost everyone disappoints me. They don't hit it the way I like to talk about it and hit
Yeah.
it.
One of my favorite books on creativity that I have it out here. I have this out all the time because this is such an inspiring book, The War of Art. Have you ever
Oh
heard
yeah,
of
I
this?
read that a long time ago.
I reference it whenever I feel stuck, I'll pick that book up because it's just a real kick in the ass of like, you know, hey, the main thing is that it's like your enemy is resistance. Resistance is all these things in your life that are just stopping you from doing exactly what you know you want to do, which is like work on this thing. But you're either
Yeah,
afraid or you're coming up with an excuse. And it's
yeah.
just really it's funny and vibrant writing, and I read it for a few pages, then I'm like, all right, like I'm ready to get
Ready to
back
get back.
to it,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool. Have you read any books by Eric Maisel?
That name sounds familiar, but I don't know.
He was on this podcast. You might like that episode
Oh,
because he's a creativity coach, and
cool.
he's worked with all the different psychologists and psychiatrist people and trying to understand why people don't do what they want to do or do what they want to do, but then fall
Yeah,
apart or see it through or any of those things. And thankfully, I think in a lot of ways, you and I just didn't experience so many of those pitfalls. We just walked around them, I guess.
yeah, I mean, you have to just really love doing it and really wanna do it. Like, there's so many ways to, like, spend your time in the given day,
Right?
and creating is, like, really hard, and it's mostly failure, uh, but, like, if you just have that kind of desire, just protecting it and giving space for it is, like, all you can do.
Yeah. Well, what part of it do you think is failure?
Uh, starting something and not finishing it, or just like, you know, having a session where you're intending to do something and you fall short of whatever it was you're trying to do, which is good failure. It's not nothing. It's
Failing
instructive.
forward.
It's productive failure, but it's a humbling experience. I guess
Yeah.
is what I mean.
Well, I think what have you found to counteract that? Because I think having a playful attitude about it is kind of fun. Um, I might start out thinking I'm going to write this particular song, and I end up writing another one, and that
Yeah,
just makes me crack up laughing. But I eventually circle back to that one. But I think it's a lot like our inbox. There's always stuff coming and going, and I think I still have music and songs in every kind of shape you can imagine. This one needs more words. This one needs a bridge. This one needs to be mixed. This one needs to be written. Like and yet I have tons and tons of stuff out in the world. I still have more stuff unreleased than I have released because
yeah,
there's still so much to record and re-record and finish, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Songs and like a film, they're so different in terms of the creating, because a song technically you can do completely alone in your room. You can play every instrument, you can sing every note, write every word, and it's
Mhm.
all just coming from one person. It's
Yeah.
kind of impossible to do that with a film, with any sort of a story. Like you have to have the camera, you have to have go out in the world, you have to collaborate.
Hmm.
and, so it's a different beast, totally, but I love them both equally and kind of have ideas for them in equal favor, depending on the season.
Yeah,
And I always think of movies and music in my life as these two loves, and they're related, but they're totally different, like ultimately,
yeah. Well, uh, I guess people could have said that about Joni Mitchell as a songwriter versus a painter,
Oh yeah,
but then there are a lot of people who do visual art as well as
yeah.
audio.
But they inform the other, and the skills in one is it's really just about the
Yeah,
arena. Like it's all creative, it's all there, but it's a
yeah,
different arena. And so you're training in a different arena basically when you're working on
yeah.
that versus a poem versus a painting.
And it's, I think, part of just being human. You can use your creativity to discover electricity or find a cure for a disease or, shape a sidewalk or grow a tree. So it's not like, oh, it's only in cooking and it's only in the arts.
Oh yeah.
But I used to love watching Inside the Actors Studio. And I learned a ton from that. And I used to say to Gary Burton, who was the president of Berkeley at the time, we should do an inside the music studio because I would love to hear from musicians. But a lot of people do not stop and think about how they do what they do. They just do it. And they don't want to talk about it because they feel it might not ever come back if they spook it or something. And I don't find that as a problem at all.
Yeah, I think especially with musicians, I've found that working at Masterclass that a lot of times they're less in touch with their process than like a writer who I think tend to be very in touch with their process. Not
Yeah.
sure exactly why. I think there is music can be very intuitive and like in a certain way, some types of musicality can't be taught, like, a tone of voice for like, a certain um Freddie Mercury voice or whatever. You can't really teach someone to sing like him or play exactly like some like Jimi Hendrix or something. But um so for those kinds of people it's a very one of one thing, and for them to maybe unpack the process is not
Mm.
words to it is not
Mhm.
efficient,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I think there's a lot more technical things involved with writing that you actually learn. And then there's so many musicians who think they're self-taught, but they've been informed by all the music they've ever heard. I've always taken issue with that when somebody will say, I didn't listen to anybody else, and no, it wasn't the Beatles that inspired me, and all this stuff. It's like, well, you didn't grow up under a rock. You know,
Yeah.
you grew up in
Yeah.
a world where music was around, whether you were in an elevator or in a department store.
Yeah.
And, if nobody ever spoke to somebody or gave them any kind of experience with music or anything, they wouldn't have learned anything. They wouldn't have learned how to talk. If they didn't see anybody walk, they probably wouldn't have walked. I mean, you think of the tools you come built in with as an infant, it's just a few skills to
Yeah.
to stay alive and to communicate that you need some assistance.
Yeah.
Everything
Well,
else is learned. So,
yeah. Yeah, it gets at the idea that that we're all drawing from the same well. Like there's this sort of
yeah.
that's not coming from you, it's coming through you, and you
Mhm.
have to be listening to the world
Yeah.
and
You gotta
in
put your
sort of
antenna up.
yeah, exactly. Like receiving the ideas is
Yeah.
kind of a better way of thinking about it than like generating.
Yeah. Have you ever read that book, Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg?
No, I've not.
That's good too.
But I'll have to make a list after this of all the
I
books
should send you my book
and
lists.
yeah, send me an email with your reading list.
Yeah. There are some creative people that have produced fantastic books, films, music, but they also believe that if they don't diligently get the idea when it comes, it's going to pass them and go to somebody else. And I don't believe that either. I don't like any kind of shortage thinking or, you know, it's gonna run out and you're gonna peak and it's like I'm 65 years old and I'm more in love with it today probably than I ever was, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's a shortage,
Yeah.
of ideas.
And I don't think if you don't catch it, your neighbor's gonna write the screenplay instead of you. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we know the physics on that, but it doesn't sound likely.
Doesn't sound likely, exactly. I do know that sometimes I come up with things that are already happening out there. Or I've written something when I was 26 years old and I play it for a class today and they'll say, "Oh, that sounds like the band blah 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 right now." And you go, "Yeah, but they weren't even on the planet when I wrote that." Like and sometimes it's the same title. Like I remember writing a song called Slipping Away when I was a kid and going to a record store and there was an album called Slipping Away. I was like, "Oh," you know.
Yeah.
So there are
Yeah,
certain
'cause
things that are just typical that we all kind of gravitate towards.
yeah, there's universal, yeah, feelings and, things that we want to express that are, you
Yes.
know, timeless things, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of bead on how much of your stuff you think is original versus paraphrased of that's a good idea, how can I use that?
Oh, it's all stolen.
Is it?
Yeah. Everything is a so many songs have started from a misheard lyric or a, "Oh, I
Mm,
just love that little melody of that sentence. I'm gonna start with that and then
mm,
extrapolate."
yeah.
I have so many of those where I've done it intentionally, that I have to think that I've done it unintentionally without knowing elsewhere, and,
Oh, for sure.
it's all about how you put a spin on it and how you mix it with something else that you're stealing that's affecting you that day, or something else that you're receiving, maybe is a better word.
Yeah. No,
What's
Paul says that
resonating.
all the time. He's like, we've nicked from everybody the way they've nicked from us, you know. But I love the way they would go, let's write one of them. You know, so he'd be doing Little Richard, or they say, let's be Fleetwood Mac on this one, or let's do this. It's like a fantastic acting sort of way. It's like, what is my motivation? Where am I coming from? I always use the example of close the door, because when a student goes to play a piece of music, some type of little phrase on the guitar or something, even if it's a Beatles guitar riff that I want them to play. I want them to play it if we're doing a sound-alike thing, like the record they're thinking they're imitating. And if they play it too loud or play it with too much force or don't play it in tune or bend it past the note or slide when it's supposed to be a bend, I'm thinking you're not hearing the details. Like go back and listen to that again. And it's not just play these notes with this rhythm and that's enough. Because you could say to somebody that you're trying to film, say the line, close the door. And they would look at you and say, what?
Close the door.
What's my
Yeah, what's
motivation?
my
Who am
motivation?
I? Who am
Yeah,
I talking to? Am I mad? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I being sexy? Am I just like it's
yeah,
infinite about how they could deliver that and how fast they could string the words together and everything else. And so there's so much play in it that it's like you've got to start someplace. So if the Beatles were being Buddy Holly or all of a sudden they're doing a little Stevie Wonder or whatever, they're getting a foothold onto that creative little spark to help them move forward to the next thing. And I love that even earlier in this conversation, you said, what can I do right now that would be the most fun for me to spend my time doing?
yeah,
That is super rewarding. It's super smart to know at your age.
yeah. It makes me having so many thoughts. It's like, yeah, you're imitating others, but the ultimate goal is to become more yourself. But you can do that through imitating the other sources of inspiration. Like the in the short term, you're reflecting back something that's that you're latching onto. Like, oh, I like how he sings that line, or I like the how he strums with that way. But then when you add up all those little instincts to imitate over the years, your ultimate arc is to make yourself sound more like you,
Yeah,
which comes from it's a combination of all the things that you're pulling from, and that
exactly.
combination is unique to you.
Yes, that whole frame of reference is all your choices, which makes you you. Yeah, I know I'm always saying it's like you don't have to come up with something that's original. You already are original. Between
Yeah,
your DNA and your fingerprints, nobody else is you. You just have to learn a few skills, like you have to learn more chords and you've got to learn how to play in a few different styles and get more instruments together. And there's just stuff to express yourself with. But yeah, until they learn how to say more things or speak more things or think new thoughts or trust their instincts, they think they're just not original and they don't have a brand yet or they don't have a it's like that you just don't know enough yet. You have
Every kid we're worried about now having a brand. Yeah.
Right. Well, a lot of people are doing that right now. It's like I need a website and I need a following and I need a this and I need a that. And it's like, what are you selling them? What have you got? You know,
Yeah.
how many songs have you written too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's great. Wow. So, what kind of things did you want to talk about with creativity? What are your favorite parts?
Oh, I mean, we've been talking about it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this has all been great. I don't know if I came in with any specific you know, other topics. I'm trying to think. Yeah, just um yeah, for me with it's more I've been in the film zone. I shot something a couple of months ago. It's a funny sketch with friends and uh I'm editing it. I'm having so much fun editing it. It was so much fun to shoot. It takes place in the sauna. So it's two guys talking in the sauna, and it's
Oh,
goofy,
that's
and
great.
it's totally my sensibility. But the whole reason for doing it was with my friends who had the time, and we had this idea. And we're like, we just want to get a rep in. Like we had made something last year, and we like entered it in some film festivals, and it like got into one, and like that was really cool. But when I was done with that, I was like, "Oh, it's kinda daunting." I'm not gonna be like, "Alright, well, how do I top that?" Like, I was kinda like, "I'm not really feeling that right now. I just wanna get a rep in." Like, I wanna make something easy and quick with shoot on my iPhone, just finish something and get that repetition in
Okay.
versus, like, how do I build upon the last thing and level up? Like, eventually, I wanna do that, but,
Hmm.
I'm not under any, delusion about just how much relative inexperience I have and that I could always use more. It's not like, oh,
Yeah.
like, all these filmmakers that I admire and like, how many movies they made, how many repetitions they had to get to even make that first one that you saw, So like, I'm not worried necessarily about like beating myself or upping myself quite. It's just not motivating to think in those terms for me. It's more like, all right, what's the next thing we can do? Like, what can we cook up next? Like, what's something that we can meaningfully actually accomplish here and like get that training in, like that repetition. And if you
That's
just chase the hunger of that versus getting bogged down in like, well, the last thing was pretty good, but now I have to make it different or better like I
Mhm.
think that's a thing that I find talking to other creative people, like, sometimes that get is, like, the idea that it has to be this linear trajectory, that everything has to be
Yeah,
logical, come from the next, and it's more just, like I think of it as, like, gym training, like, I'm at the gym, like, "Alright, what can I pull together with the resources, DIY, make it fun?"
that's cool. You're going after the art aspect of it. You're trying to challenge yourself in maybe a new lighting situation or in a new dialogue since it's just taken space place in a sauna. I
Totally.
I tend to like those movies better anyway because it goes deeper into people and conversation and real emotion rather than all the explosions and you know.
Totally. It's like every and it was very much like, what's the most my voice thing that I can make? Like for some people, like I was thinking this the other day, I'm like, for like Steven Spielberg, for whatever reason, his voice is like blockbuster movies. Like he the way he communicates and like decides to just pour himself into end up being these fantastical blockbuster movies with these ideas for these set pieces and everything, and I'm like, I would just never wanna make a movie like that. I just couldn't even I wouldn't think in that way, it wouldn't make sense. So,
Right.
fortunately, I have, like, a job and I don't have to, like the things I make don't have to make me money, which is a total luxury that I'm not, you know, I'm totally aware is such a
I hear you.
a luxury, and it's not everybody's situation. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but all the more reason though, I think the constraint becomes still, I don't have, I'm not trying to like raise money or like I just want to make things for me and my
Mhm.
friends. And in doing so, I'm strengthening my creative muscles to then maybe eventually
Mm.
level up and make something more that takes more resources.
Yeah,
But
you're making
you
movies you wanna watch.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm writing music I wanna hear.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I think that's a good message to tell other artists. It's like you can do anything for the money. Do anything that's easy to put the roof over your head and the food on the plate so that you can spend time and energy on the thing you really want to spend time on rather than it's busting your chops just trying to make ends meet?
Yeah. Yeah, my only advice there, again, having been very lucky, is that if you can work in where you're meeting people and you're meeting people that are in some way interested or related to the thing that you want to be doing for real, because
That helps.
other people open doors, and networking and all that is,
Mhm.
you can be the most talented person ever and have all the ideas, but if you don't connect the dots with the right people, like, it's very much less likely that it will all come together in any way that you're
Yeah.
wanting, because I think the arts are so collaborative.
Yeah, it takes a lot of people to make these things get off the ground
Yeah,
in a real way.
and you really learn from other people, and other
Mm.
people that challenge you. It's very, essential, I think, to the creative process.
Have you got any Ringo stories?
Have I got any? No, I mean, I we shot that class. That was the only time I got to interact with him very briefly. Amazing though. Um, yeah, I
He was
still
a
think
little
about him.
shorter than you, right?
Felt like it. He felt a little, maybe a little hunched. I don't know. I'm 5'9", so
Okay.
I guess he's maybe around that, maybe 5'8".
Yeah, 5'7", 5'8", I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I just rewatched A Hard Day's Night, uh, with my girlfriend who had never seen it but loved it, and I always get a kick out of watching that, and I always think of you, um, because you showed us that movie. I think you had a VHS with, like, little stickers of the title of the movie on the side,
Really?
and that movie is very inspiring to me.
That's not your grandfather. I've seen your grandfather. He lives with you at your house.
It's in your house, like, he's very clean. Yeah, like, the clean.
That's me.
It's so funny.
Just so funny.
Just joke after joke. It's like Airplane or like The Naked Gun, it's just there's
Yeah,
so many jokes in it, and it's just capturing them at such a beautiful time. And
yeah,
the playfulness, you said before, having a playful attitude. I think
yeah,
having a playful attitude is one of the best things for life, let alone creativity, if
absolutely.
you can, and relationships and everything, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What did you say before that? Before relationships?
Just for life.
Yeah,
Uh,
for life, and then you said something it sounded like there was a glitch, like something
oh,
cut
for anything,
oh,
maybe I
for
said.
any yeah,
For anything, it's just if you approach
absolutely.
things with a playful attitude,
Yeah,
within reason, some things are serious, but,
yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's interesting because there are so many things that are horrific and, really serious, and yet there are so many philosophers that think that this is a bit of a game down here, that we're just acting things out, so it's like, well, wait a minute, if we can be playful about even the serious things, yeah, maybe we can make things better. It's like if imagination is the most important thing, said Einstein, wait a minute, why can't we imagine it better? I mean, that was whole all of John's thing. He was like,
yeah,
listen, people will just do whatever you tell them to do. So let's tell them to imagine peace. Let's tell them to imagine love. Let's give peace a chance. Let's sell it like a bar of soap. Just put peace all over the place. I mean, just the other day I was thinking, why don't we have somebody, some big corporation or some government actually pay people to be nice. pay people to do good, you
Yeah.
know?
As an
Give them
experiment, yeah.
give them some kind of an incentive to,
Yeah.
do the right
Gotta
thing.
sh you gotta prove the ROI on that, though, that's why nobody's done it. You gotta what's the return on that investment?
Yeah, yeah,
Somebody's gotta put those numbers together and show that it would
I
make
know.
a difference,
Well,
but
that's what they just
believe
said
it.
in that John and Yoko movie that I just saw was like, peace and love doesn't make money, so people don't wanna invest in it really.
Yeah, well, war does.
I know,
Gotta
I
that.
didn't realize how much money war makes. I was like, "Well, that's really strange."
Yeah.
'Cause I just think of Alan Alda in MASH just leaving the hospital tent and going up to that, past the front line to the main offices where the main generals were in that episode to just talk to the two head people, one on this country's
Mhm.
point of view and one on that, and just saying, "What are you guys doing?" They're just sitting back smoking cigars and having drinks, and their men, their boys are
Yeah,
out there destroying one another. It's like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense.
yeah, and that was, like, 50 years ago. It's still happening.
I know. Yeah, I really thought every generation got smarter. And I remember a friend of mine saying when I was in my 20s, that's not necessarily true. I was so disappointed.
No, we just get newer toys.
Yeah. I like the toys.
Yeah, the toys have been good. Oh, random question. Have you heard of this, company, Teenage Engineering? It's an audio it's like a Swedish audio mixer set. They make all this cool stuff. Friend of mine has this really cool speaker. It's kind of fancy, but it's like this radio. It's called Teenage Engineering. They make these gorgeous products, just very, it's like high end, but you feel like the buttons and the way it's made is with such care and with interests. And they just have this cool like Bluetooth speaker that's basically it takes the radio and you can loop it and slow it down and then you can turn it into an ambient track, but then it's just a great Bluetooth speaker. Just
Wow.
one toy that's at the intersection of, like, consumer
Hmm.
good and, like, artist kind of minded.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah. It is really fun to see what all that stuff Peter Jackson was doing to get back to clean up all that footage because I had 60 hours of audio that was unlistenable because everything would be too quiet, and then blasting loud, and then
Yeah.
everything all over each other, like tons of loud guitars over all the talking. And they were able to isolate all that stuff and separate it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, have you messed around with any of that, like, any AI audio tools?
Just the latest version of Logic has AI mastering, and that's been pretty interesting. That's been helpful here and there.
Yeah.
But as far as choosing chords or melodies or turning around different combinations of notes to find a passage to make a line, I love choosing those myself. So I can't imagine ever,
Yeah,
having to rely on it for that because to me, each choice gives me a different emotional connection and feeling, and I want to make those choices.
yeah. Yeah, see, that's how I feel, and that's what makes me not that worried about the AI music stuff. Like, I am worried about it because I think not for I mean, because in some ways it's making something that requires a lot of work kind of auto. Like people can kind of just auto make a song now, which is
Right.
like
Good
cool.
point.
So for some people that'll be enough. And like I've messed around with those tools and it's crazy. It's cool. Like it's kind of you get that instant hit of like
Hmm.
bit of input, a lot of output, like, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
ultimately, the fun is in the struggle and the long form figuring of it out, and
Hmm.
the desire to make it more you and to make it imperfect in your own way. And I think, like, any sort of the real artists are still just gonna see that as a tool and not as a replacement for the process.
Oh yeah.
So, it may the problem is that it yields all this kind of muzak background noise that it all kind of sounds the same and it's sort of soulless and
Well, A friend of mine was just talking about how there's a lot of entrepreneurs that think they're getting their message across in their brand and in their advertising so that all they have to do is plug in the copy and they'll just get a great song out of it. And it's terrible. It's like for all the women over 60 who feel like they can't lose that belly weight, well, you can just da and use our product because it's so great. And it was like, oh my God,
Like a
that's not a
parody.
song. It's not a song. uh,
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not all play out.
Well, some people don't know the difference about anything, and whatever that is for anybody, it's fine. It's your own definition, right? This is food, this is junk, this is healthy, this is good for me, this is music, this is
Background noise, this is art, like, there's
yeah,
different
yeah.
it can be both if to some people, like
Lily Tomlin, right? This is art, this is soup.
yeah.
Do you remember that?
No, I know Lily Tomlin, but what's that from?
She uh was in a one woman stand up show called In Search for Intelligent Life in the Universe. And you can watch that as a film because even though she did it on stage live by herself, she did a film version which she actually dresses up like the character and then goes back and forth with the online live or on stage live versus the film of the character. But at one point, she's entertaining space aliens, her chums, and she's trying to explain to them what makes people have emotions down here and what is art and what is why people tear up or get goosebumps. They're trying to figure out the meaning of goosebumps. And
Yeah.
she's trying to explain to them the difference between a can of Campbell's soup and Andy Warhol's
Yeah,
painting of
yeah.
the soup. And she keeps mixing them up and they keep getting it wrong. No, this is art. This is soup. Which one is this? This is art. This is soup. It
Very funny.
was hilarious. Love it.
I like that.
Still love her. So great. Any new instruments playing lately?
You know, when I was back home, I found a harmonica.
There you go. What
And I
key?
brought that back. That's the thing. I had this discovery. I never thought about it or looked up how to play harmonica, but I just realized from playing with it that when you blow out and when you suck in, it's a different note.
Yeah.
Duh. And it gives you twice the amount of notes. But that was a total revelation to me as I was playing. I was like, oh, so that's how there's so many notes in one little harmonica.
Right.
So I brought it back and I was kind of figuring out like Amazing Grace or something. I was trying to just figure it out by ear, but,
Nice.
yeah, I got, like,
Yeah.
most of it, not quite, but
They
it's
make them all
nice.
different keys. And then for a while I had a chromatic one, but it was just too hard. I thought I'm never gonna want to put
Yeah,
the time in to learn this.
yeah, I should learn "Love Me Do," I'm just realizing, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they do a cross harp, how it's like the 5 chord versus the 1 chord. Sometimes you're using a harmonica that's in the key, and sometimes you're using the one that's the 4 chord or the 5 chord to get the bluesy notes in the other key.
Mhm, yeah, and I did actually my friend in San Diego a couple 2 months ago, we spent the whole weekend recording a song. Um,
Mm,
I wanna send it to you, but I was gonna wait because we have a very, like, a rough export, and then he's been wanting to, like, tinker with it and kinda clean it up.
cool.
But when it's done, I wanna share it with you because yeah,
Sure.
I'm proud. It's a song I wrote, like, couple months prior, and then me, him, and his wife, we did, like, a live couple bunch of live takes, and then liked one of them, and then overdubbed it.
What was the instrumentation?
It's just guitar, bass, and drums,
Nice.
and, classic 3, and some kinda harmonizing gang vocals and, uh,
Yeah,
yeah, little guitar overdub, but pretty clean, yeah.
super cool. Super
Yeah.
cool. So, how old were you when you realized movement helps when you feel a little
Today, years old, very recently. I mean, like, a couple months ago, like, I mean, I had always known it, like, instinctually, I guess, but never came to be, like, sort of conscious of it, like, it would just be like, "Oh, yeah, you go for a walk, whatever," but, like, now I'm like, "Oh, yes, I just associating the relationship between the body and the brain more
Mhm.
closely. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, so many ideas," and I'm at the gym, like, I'll start to just, "Ah, the wheels turn," like, the blood you just gotta get the blood flowing.
Mhm.
Anything that gets the blood flowing is good in my opinion. Maybe that's
Yeah,
not true, but
it also gets your focus off what you think is in the way or what you feel stuck about. You just go do something else. You just start, like you say, the endorphins, you start to feel
yeah.
better, and then that block seems to go away. Did you ever hear about free association or object writing? Do you do either of those?
I think I do free association in my head all day long every day. Everything that I hear, I'm like, "Oh, well, that's like that, and that's like that." That reminds
That's
me of
good.
that movie quote.
That's good. Because sometimes I used to always feel like I had more music than I had words because I was always playing my guitar, but not necessarily playing with words or reading books. Whereas some people read hundreds of books a year and they just have language going through their head as often. Maybe you have both because you do so many screenplays and stories. But I found with free association, you could just write anything. You could start anything, like love this pen on this paper, and before you know it, you're talking about your dog and the other day, what type of walk you took or whatever. And it just goes every direction. There's no set thing. And then maybe you even put it away. And then you come back with a music idea and you go, do I have any words? What can I sing here? And I just latch onto a phrase and it's that first thing to go on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I think we call that free writing. Again,
Yeah.
we're told to do that in school at times, and I do that when I don't know what to write or I'm
Yeah.
just writing to write. I'm writing because I didn't wanna write. Well, this is there, and you kinda also just sit down and write like, "Well, I can't figure out this scene. The reason I can't figure out this scene is because of it," and suddenly you're writing the scene.
Yes, yes. And then sometimes you can be really specific, like, I'm definitely gonna write about what I wish I could say if I was poetic enough, and you say it all out in longhand and in some kind of, prose, but then all of a sudden becomes poetic, like you can find a way, but I think you really hit on it before when you said people fear that it's supposed to come out perfect the first time, and it very often doesn't. But I've often asked the sky or the ceiling, "What do you want me to say here?" Or "What do I say next?" And some line will drop into my head. So sometimes those things really are just gifts.
Yeah, totally.
So great. What do you do to come up with more music ideas? Just keep learning new tunes or around with
Yeah, it's
sound?
it's for me, it's lyrics that start the music. Like, I'll start because I mostly just write on my acoustic guitar and it's on the wall, so I'll just pick it up, I'll be strumming, I'll hear a little melody in my head, or I'll hear a phrase, or like, "Oh, that's a fun, like, couplet," or something, and then just kinda set up with the notepad and start
Mm,
singing it.
cool.
Or I'll just be just strumming chords and just listening to myself. Or you steal from another song.
Who's in the picture there looking down?
It's Johnny Marr
Okay. Your
from
place looks so cool.
the Smiths, yeah, and I got my Black Sabbath records out today 'cause Ozzy Osbourne died.
I was wondering why I saw so many pictures of him on Instagram recently.
Well, he performed, like, 2 days ago. He was up to the very last minute, he was on tour,
Oh,
and
that's great.
died today, I guess, yeah, so, yeah, what a way to amazing that he lasted this long, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, like, that kind of voice, you don't really teach that voice, it's just a special voice.
Yeah. There is a footage on YouTube of him saying to Paul, you guys taught me everything I know and everything I do." And then Paul was like, "Really?"
Not everything, yeah.
You put a little of yourself in there too, I think. Cool.
Mm.
Anything else you wanted to mention, get to, ask me?
I feel like we talked so there's so much juice in here. I hope you can use most of it. I feel
I
so
can, yeah.
nourished by this conversation.
Oh, good. I put the whole thing on.
Yeah, no, I feel great. Yeah, I don't think I said anything too stupid or wrong. uh, yeah, just I think, like, you are such an inspiration to me because, yeah, as you said, you're 60 whatever, and you're just in love with it as ever. If anything, you're more in love with it as the years go on, like, and I think it's what makes the creativity such a great hobby. You can do it late, you can do it until your whole life. It's not like a young man's game or anything. It's like golf in that way, but in no other way is it like golf. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like, like it sort of takes the pressure off to know that, like, you and my dad both, like, you guys are just still so in touch with your creative process, and, like, you
Mm,
make time for it, and you're doing the best work of your lives in that realm, and, like,
we
it
really
makes
are.
you just feel like, oh, like, I just want to make as much stuff as I can, and
Mhm.
there doesn't have to be another reason beyond, like, that it's a joyful thing.
Yeah. It's just the coolest thing to spend time doing. You just get, like you said, the biggest charge out of it.
Yeah.
And life really does get better because you make more money and you get more freedom and you have more time to do what you want to do. And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
this is great.
Music, it's the thing that really keeps you. I will also say it's another props to music. It's like the thing that keeps friendships alive in some ways over many years when you live far apart and you
Mhm.
don't have the same lifestyle as someone, but
Mm.
share a song or a new one or an old one, and it kind
Yeah,
of keeps the dialogue open.
that's cool. Super cool. Well, it was great to hang with you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. This was awesome. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah. Throw it on YouTube and then, it'll end up on all the podcast sites for audio and stuff. And it'll be great. People listen in and maybe get in touch with you to write them a screenplay.
Yeah, anyone in LA that wants to make stuff,
Right? Yeah.
put my email. Yeah.
That was the coolest T-shirt I found once. I have it hanging on the wall because after a while you can't wear them anymore. You got to just cut out the nice
Too
little
threadbare.
picture, yeah, and just remember it. But it was go to your studio and make stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
right. Super cool to
love
see
it.
you.
You too, Aunt Lauren.
Take care, Thomas. Thomas.
All right. Love you. Peace and
Love you.
love.
Love you too. Peace and love. Yeah.